All right, so many of you saw my review of the new Surly Moonlander, a completely redesigned version of the fat bike that they originally launched back in 2011. And if you missed that, well, it is linked in the description below. But since Surly spec'd this pinion-equipped version with a chain and kept the derailleur hanger on, it got me thinking, why not throw a derailleur and cassette on this bike? This could complement the already wide 568% range of this 9-speed pinion and also give us smaller jumps between gears. And that's exactly what we're going to experiment with in this video. All right, let's dive into it. So the plan here is to test out, well, a 10-speed system. So I hit up my local consignment bike shop. I found a cheap derailleur and shifter, ordered a pretty budget micro shift cassette here, and also I needed to get some chain. This is a 12-speed chain, so I needed a 10-speed chain. So I grabbed a discounted chain that was already broken or cut, and then a brand new 10-speed chain. All told, it was around $115. Not the cheapest, but well, if it doesn't work, I could always reconsign these parts. A few main things to kind of think about here. Well, I'll have to watch out for the chain line and the potential tire rub when the cassette is in the lower gears. I'm also going to be sticking with this 34-tooth chainring on the crank. However, there are no cable guides for a rear derailleur, so I will have to kind of rig something up. I'll probably just use some, I don't know, zip ties or something like that. Plus, I'll be adding another cable to an already really busy cockpit up front, but what's one more cable? All right, let's get this stuff installed and see how it goes. But before we get any further, I just want to take a quick moment to let you all know that this video is supported in part by Old Man Mountain. Dealing with a jostling and swaying load can be a real headache, but Old Man Mountain racks have you covered, keeping your gear snug and secure and allowing you to concentrate on the trail instead of consistently adjusting a wiggling load behind you. These racks are designed for both small and heavy loads, offering incredible versatility that fits nearly any bike thanks to their fit kits. So if you're in the search for a more secure storage option, Old Man Mountain has a solution for you. So to find out more about Old Man Mountain racks and accessories, click on the card in the top right corner, or else follow the link in the description below. All right, so look at it. 10-speed driver on a pinion bike. It is here. I installed it and I went for a ride, but more on that soon. So the installation process was pretty smooth. However, I did find that the clearance with the Shimano 10-speed shifter slightly interfered with the pinion shifter. So to fix this, what I had to do was reposition the pinion shifter on top of the brake lever to allow the Shimano trigger to release properly. Maybe a different brand shifter would work better here, or even using a grip shifter on the left side to free up space from the right, which is already just super busy. So as far as the cable routing is concerned, I used the cable guides on the left side of the down tube here, which worked great. I then routed the cable and housing through the yoke here, securing it then to the chainstay with some zip ties. I started with about 76 inches of housing, but trimmed it down to roughly 72 inches, and a standard cable worked just fine with room to spare on this medium Moonlander here. So the derailleur, yep, it threaded on just perfectly into the hanger, and I installed the cassette with the small 1.5 millimeter spacer on the free hub body for the 10-speed setup. So for the chain, I used a 114 link 10-speed chain and added only 14 more links from the other chain, bringing it to a total of 128 links. So you could opt for, say, a longer SRAM chain like 144 link version, and I'm sure there are a few other longer 10-speed options out there. But just for reference, 114 plus 14, at least in this circumstance, with the wheel in the dropout all the way forward. All right, so once everything was installed, right away, unfortunately, I noticed the chain rubbing against this massive 6.2-inch Moonlander tire when it was in the 36, the biggest tooth cog, and even the 32 tooth cog. But once I dropped it down to the 28, it was rub free outside of a few random instances. So for the sake of this experiment, I ended up adjusting the low gear limit screw almost all the way in to ensure I couldn't shift into those 32 or 36 tooth cogs. So unfortunately, this meant I was actually losing some of my low end gearing. In the end, I ended up running the 11 through 28 tooth cogs successfully. So I would call this a 9x8 drivetrain paired with the 9-speed pinion. This gives me an absurd gear range of 1,445%. So as far as gear inches are concerned, on the low end of things, I was able to get 20.5 gear inches with these big wheels, which is actually an increase from the original 16.9 gear inches with a 34 or 34 pinion driver. But the real standout here is the 296 gear inches on the high end, which I'd say is completely unnecessary. It's hard to actually understand this range without actually seeing it in action. So I actually pedaled it on flat ground to kind of see, but the potential speed this setup offers is incredible. This thing can go extremely fast if you have the power to go really fast, or if you really want to go 75 miles an hour. But with the 36 tooth cog out of the picture here, it lost some of its climbing capabilities, which I'd say is not great for this particular bike. So while I did not test an 8-speed cassette, in theory, it would not work because I'd run into the same issues with the first two low gears rubbing against the tire, since the cassette spacing is roughly the same as a 10-speed cassette. This got me thinking maybe a 7-speed cassette would work because, well, the spacing is a little bit different. So I headed to another bike shop in town, and they let me use a junkyard 7-speed for this experiment. So even with about 6.5 millimeters of spacers on the free hub body, the big cog still rubbed on the tire. I know there are some really big range 13 by 42 7-speed cassettes out there. So that really got me excited, but even tinkering with the limits on the derailleur, it still just didn't work. So in the end, I think my original setup, the 10-speed using the 8 gears, worked best, even though it doesn't really add much of the climbing side of things. It actually takes away. But I found that I actually really liked the smaller jumps between gears. And once I was actually in a specific pinion gear, I was able to kind of fine tune or dial in my gearing with the derailleur. And I was even able to shift under load, which is kind of funny, shifting a pinion bike under load. Yeah. Anyways, now with all that high-end range with this particular setup, I could obviously get a smaller front chainring if I really wanted to gain more low-end gearing. One thing to consider is if you plan on using, say, 26, 27.5 fat bike wheels or 29 plus wheels, or just a wheel in the back here, I'm guessing you will get a little bit closer to using those other gears on this 10-speed cassette, and for sure probably be able to use a full 7-speed setup. So this was a pretty fun experiment, even though it didn't go as I kind of hoped it would. So thank you all so much for watching. And if you have any unique and fun gearing setup suggestions for the Moonlander, or really any bike out there, let us know in the comment section below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. And if you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want to help support this YouTube channel, everything we're doing at BIKEPACKING.com, you can do so by joining the Bikepacking Collective. The Collective offers a lot of awesome perks, including industry discounts, monthly giveaways, and the twice-yearly Bikepacking Journal. So to learn a little bit more about the Bikepacking Collective, you can click on the card in the top right corner, or else follow the link in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further.